You shouldn't buy a house. It's a bad financial decision. That is what Nikhil Kamath, India's youngest billionaire, keeps saying, and he's not alone. The idea has basically become the new gospel in every finance podcast, tweet thread, and a startup founder's AMA. And let's be honest, his logic does make sense. Rent is cheaper, property can be illiquid at times, and there are better places to grow your money. So, like the most of us, you have probably blocked the idea of buying a home altogether. That, bro, this is just something that is completely off my bucket list. But what if this very same idea, the one that you shut down, is the very thing that could transform you? Let me ask you this. Would your parents have built their life or your life if they followed this advice? Or would King Khan have ever said, the day I bought my first house, my entire mindset shifted? I mean, why did he advise Rajkumar Rao to do whatever you want, bro, but first buy a home for yourself before buying anything else? Because what if that idea, that one that you've already shut down, is the very thing that could actually transform you today? Not just financially, but emotionally. What if buying a home could make you more focused, more driven, and more responsible in life? What if putting a roof over your family's head is what encourages you to finally break past your income ceiling? Not for the ROI, not for the flex, but for the mindset shift that changes how you show up in the world. Because a home isn't just where you live. Sometimes that particular financial decision helps you grow in ways in which you just can't imagine. Oh wait, SRK says, Amir बनने से पहले philosopher मत बनो. So who am I to say to all of this? But listen from the man himself.
शाहरुख सर ने एक बात सिखाई थी मुझे, बेटा कभी भी घर लेना ना तो औकात से थोड़ा ज्यादा लेना, क्योंकि क्या है ना, फिर ऊपर वाला भी देखता है और तू खुद भी ज्यादा मेहनत करेगा.
Now the phenomena here that Rajkumar Rao is discussing is what I personally call a homestretch effect. Now, more than a phenomena, this is actually a feeling that is very hard to explain without ever experiencing it. But allow me to make an attempt to make you feel this. Now, this is a very similar feeling that you get when you have your first child. Imagine this, and you can even ask this to your parents yourself, that when they got the news that you're about to come in their life, their entire mindset shifted. Suddenly, their outlook towards life has changed. The brain automatically switches to a signal to being a provider and attract abundance in life. I want to give the best life possible to my kid, and in order to do that, you have to make critical life changes. For example, finding a better job or upskilling yourself. Now, there are ample stories that we have heard of where someone becomes more responsible and even gives up their habits which hampers their growth since the moment they held their child in their hands. Now, a similar mindset shift happens when you start making efforts to buy your first home. There's an internal push that you get that changes you from within, and you carve your path in a direction where you'll find maximum growth in life. But you know what? I get it, that yes, I'll strive for growth in life, but is it still a good financial decision? Now, let's be honest. For most middle-class Indians from our parents' generation, the real piece of wealth that they've built is through real estate. Now, I'm not saying that they bought homes from an investment perspective. It was surely an emotional call. But the fact of the matter is, it actually turned out to be a very good financial decision. They didn't have financial advisors, they didn't know what an SIP is or what CAGR is, but they did know this, ki real estate, beta kabhi mukta nahi. And in most cases, that belief worked. That 15 lakh rupees land your father bought in Ghaziabad in 2000, it's now worth over 2 CR. That 8 lakh plot your uncle picked in the outskirts in Nagpur, that today it's part of a township. That 58 lakh rupees worth of DLF flat that your friend bought in New Gurgaon is now today worth over 2.2 CR. For a generation that had no access to equity markets at all, real estate was their mutual fund, their retirement plan, and their legacy rolled into one, and it actually paid off. But yes, let's not romanticize it blindly. There has also been the bad and the good and the ugly. Thousands have lost money in under construction projects that were delayed, abandoned, or never delivered. Some basically bought in the hype-driven areas with no infrastructure and zero resale value. So yes, real estate can go wrong. But here's the catch. So can stocks, so can crypto, so can mutual funds. Every asset class carries their risk. What matters is, do you understand the rules of the game before you play them? The truth is, real estate isn't that much of a rocket science as compared to other asset classes. Our parents basically figured it out with far fewer tools that we have today. And today, if you avoid under construction hype and choose ready to move in properties or reputed builders, study the master plan of the locality that you're shifting to or a particular micro market, understanding its long-term potential, and don't over leverage yourself with EMIs way too beyond your means, you're mostly sorted. And even if you can't do this, ask any good real estate expert that any property that you always buy it from the end user's perspective. Would you want to live in this society or area or this home 10 to 20 years down the line? If the answer is yes, you have literally avoided 80% of the risk. The fact is, real estate remains one of the most stable inflation-beating wealth compounding assets available to Indian families. What it gives you is the capital appreciation over the long run, rental income that adds monthly cash flow, and most importantly, a sense of control over your money and your life and the emotional satisfaction behind it. Our generation is rapidly learning the language of stocks, SIPs, and startups, which is absolutely brilliant. But let's not forget our roots that got us here in the first place. Our parents have already shown us that with the right choices, owning real estate builds more than a house, it can actually build wealth. And wait a second, didn't I hear that Nikhil Kamath bought a house for himself? But what I hear is that he actually had a valid reason for it. And what is that reason? Well, the reason was that his landlord was renovating his house, so he had to move back in the house that Nikhil Kamath was living in, so he had to vacate it. Now, by the way, this happens to middle class families as well. Just keep this in mind because I'll come back later to this point. Now, obviously, it's a really painful process to find a new landlord again, negotiate the rent, the right society, neighborhood, etc. So, Nikhil Kamath bought a house because he didn't want to face the same hassle again, and he bought because he could, and that's a fair enough reason. But how does that same logic not apply to us and only to a billionaire? Ask any person who has lived on rent for good 8 to 10 years where his landlord has asked him to vacate suddenly for an XYZ reason. And in middle class families, you have often heard of kids or the mothers complaining that they can't keep shifting houses every 2-3 years, and their complaint is absolutely rational. The exhaustion of repeated moving is absolutely real. Disruption in child's routine, finding a new local support system in a new society, and that constant feeling of a lack of a home for the family. And the last one pinches you real hard. It eventually becomes like an emotional trigger. And let me tell you in a little secret. This is the exact moment when a lot of couples finally take a call of buying a home. So why not plan it sooner than later? And coming back to Nikhil Kamath's statement, that me buying a home doesn't make it a good financial decision because paying 12% interest for next 30 years makes no sense. Well, for this, I would like you to read the comments that people have given when he said this. Comment number 1. I bought a 40 lakh house at 6.6% interest rate during COVID. My interest went up to 8.9 max in my tenure, but I managed to clear the loan in just 5 years. If you're financially disciplined, you can buy and manage to clear loans and still do good. Comment number 2. My 2 cents of advice. If you don't have a house of your parents, then you should definitely think of buying one. But plan accordingly, save money and then buy it and clear as soon as possible. If you already have a parent's house, then there is no need to hurry that. First arrange the money and then you would want to buy it. Comment number 3. It is not a financial decision. It's a consumption decision if you're buying your first house, not for investment. That should definitely depend on what you like buying or renting, just like renting a car or let's say buying one. The second house shouldn't be purchased for investment. Index funds are better. Now coming to comment 4, which is my absolute favorite. Every smart person who bought their house would know that the EMI will become equal to rent sometime in the near future. Now there are many such comments that will give you very interesting and real life perspectives that you might have never thought of. I actually personally resonate with the last one a lot because I've seen this happening in my family. The rent in New Gurgaon post-COVID has gone up to 2x. And with the development happening on the SPR Road, Cyber City 2 coming up, American Express's biggest office there, working class now would want to rent a house in New Gurgaon. Now a 3 BHK in COVID was at 20k. In 2025, it is now at 40 to 45k, and in another 2 years, it is expected to go to 60k. And let's be clear, home loans in India are today not at 12%. They are at roughly between 7 to 9%, and when structured smartly, when part prepayments or shorter tenures, they can be extremely manageable, especially when the property itself appreciates at 8 to 12%. And in the growing markets, the rental also increases at a fair value. At 10% is an absolute given. And by the way, did you know that most home buyers in Delhi NCR on an average pay off their home loans in just 8 to 10 years compared to the 20-25 years tenure that they actually opt for? Maybe this is sort of a proof that buying a home does help you prosper in life. See, at the end of the day, you must understand that buying a home isn't just a financial decision, but also an emotional one. Also something that gives you freedom, and even as a financial decision, it can make sense if you plan it well. And in the end, if you're a Shah Rukh Khan fan, just hear this from the man himself.
The only thing I'll add to everyone else is that because I did not have a house ever till I came to Mumbai, I'll give my children amazing education. It was a little difficult not having a house. I realized that, especially when I got married, when I started working, there was no place to just sit also, And so whatever job they do, my addition is only a grade level education and a house. That's it, nothing else.
So that was it, guys, from today's video. Do tell us in the comments about your thoughts on buying a home. I do hope that you got to hear a fresh perspective today on buying a home. and expect more such perspectives from us coming forward. So do subscribe to our channel and we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much.